Are XG stats always that reliable? Not necessarily. Hi everyone, my name's Neil, welcome back to my channel and another FPL video. For any new watchers out there, this is my 16th season playing FPL. I've got a pretty good career history. I've had 6 overall rank finishes inside the top 10k and only 1 finish worse than 153k. So I've been an FPL fanatic for a number of years now, and I just fancied having a crack at putting out some content on something that I'm passionate about and that will hopefully also help other FPL players out there. What I would ask, guys, if you wouldn't mind, if you leave us some feedback in the comment section, so if you could put two things you did like about the video and 2 things that you didn't like. So that can be anything from the content, the presentation, the graphics, the length of the video, is it too long, too short, etc. That would be really appreciated because it just helps me to keep improving my content, etc. So what we're going to be talking about on this video is how to interpret XG stats, particularly when using them as a guide to try and predict future outcomes, which impacts on our transfer decisions. Now, stats are a fantastic tool, but you have to interpret them in the right way, as we'll see. So, expected goals. What does that actually mean? Well, expected goals data is essentially it's a measure of quality of chances. So putting it simply, if we take the strikers, for example, those strikers who have had the most good quality chances to score will be the ones that have got their highest expected goals stats. Similarly, for the defences, the teams that have the highest expected goals conceded data will be the teams who have conceded the most chances. It's about as simple as that, really. Now, it is possible for players to overperform on their expected data, and the reason for that can simply be, so if you take a forward, for example, let's say they've scored 4 goals in the first 2 weeks and their expected goals scored is only 1.7, for example, then that simply means that some of the goals they've scored have been from situations that aren't actually deemed to be great chances. So they could be goalkeeping errors, or they're just not deemed to be chances where they're necessarily expected to score from them. So does this mean that we should target or avoid certain players based on the XG stats? Well, not necessarily, because there are often underlying reasons for the stats being the way they are, factors that have been there which may not actually be there going forward. So I'm just going to show you an example. So if you have a look at that table there, so I've got 4 teams, and I'm looking at their data from the first 3 weeks only. I appreciate these teams have now played another game, so they've played 4 games now, but just for illustrative purposes I'm just looking at the data from the first 3. So let's take Arsenal now. So their expected goals conceded data from over the first 3 games was 8.36, and that was 20th in the league. Basically it's worst. They were the worst team for expected goals conceded. Now, looking at that, are you necessarily going to think, what are we going to conclude from that? Are we saying, right, well in that case let's not even consider any of their defenders awful because of the expected goal stats? Well, no, not necessarily, because let's drill into the games that they've played. First game, Brentford. The Arsenal team on that day, it was a significantly weakened team. In fact, it was almost a reserve team because of players that weren't match fit, players who were injured, etc. So, of course, you wouldn't expect them to perform very well playing with not their first team. And look at the next 2 games. They've played Chelsea and Man City, who are the best 2 teams in the league, arguably. So, of course, they're going to be conceded chances, yeah? And actually, if you even look at the City game, for a whole half of that match they only played with 10 men, so of course they're going to be conceding chances. So there's a good reason there as to why their stats have been the way they are. But however, if you look forward now to the sit where we are at now with Arsenal, they're now back to full strength. They've got pretty much everyone back, I think, and look at their run of fixtures now. they've got the best fixtures, or one of the best sets of fixtures out of all the teams at the moment. And now, if you obviously looking at that game week 4, they've already played Norwich. They played Norwich yesterday, and funnily enough, they got a clean sheet. So what we can take from that is that yes, their expected goals conceded stat has been really bad, but you would expect an improvement on that because of the fact that they've got players back from injury, they're back to full strength, and their fixtures have improved considerably. Yeah, so that's one example. The next team, Aston Villa, this is the same situation but in reverse. So they are, over the first 3 games, they were second best for expected goals conceded at only 2.31. But look at the fixtures they've had. They've had Watford, Newcastle and Brentford. So their fixtures have been amongst the best fixtures out of everyone. So you would expect their expected goals conceded figures to be good, right? However, is that likely to continue? Well, no, because look at the fixtures they've got coming up. And they played yesterday. They've already played Chelsea, the game week 4 fixture, and funnily enough, they conceded 3 goals. Chelsea are next on that table. Now, their expected goals conceded for the first 3 was 3.43, and that is 8th best. Now, you'd expect Chelsea to be perhaps better than that, but again, look at the reasons why. They played Liverpool game week 3, and they had that man sent off, so they had to play a whole half with only 10 men. So of course they're going to concede chances. You would expect that to happen. Now I've got Wolves on that table as well. Now they're an interesting one because over the first 3 they were 4th best for expected goals conceded, but they've also had tough fixtures. They played Leicester, Tottenham and Man United, and look at their fixtures going forward. Fantastic fixtures. So not only have they got good expected goals conceded stats over during tough circumstances against 3 of the better teams, they've also got great fixtures, so arguably their defenders are an absolute no-brainer to bring into your team. And obviously they played yesterday and they got a clean sheet against Watford. So really the message is to, yes, by all means use stats. There are fantastic things to use, but don't always take them at face value. Yeah, it helps to do a little bit of research, delve into the games they've played. Look at what teams have they played? Have they had tough fixtures? Is there a reason why their stats haven't been very good? Have they been missing key players? Have they had players sent off? That there could be a number of reasons for the stats being how they are, which, as I said earlier, may not be present going forward. So you can actually start thinking, well, perhaps there's signs that those stats aren't going to continue being as bad as that, and they might improve. And also, as in the case with Aston Villa, there could be reason to suggest that the defensive numbers aren't going to continue being as good as they have been. So yeah, it just pays to just do a little bit more research behind the statistics we've got, because it just kind of helps to get a bit of perspective on them, because they aren't always as they seem. Okay, so that's the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. As I said earlier, if you wouldn't mind leaving some feedback in the comment section, and that would be absolutely fantastic. So that's all for now. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like if you did like it, subscribe. If you do subscribe, don't forget to hit that notification bell, because that will just mean that you'll be notified as soon as I release more videos. Okay, thanks a lot for listening. I'll see you on the next video. Cheers.